Hey guys, this is Justin at The Survivor Review, and today we'll be talking about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Spoilers and all. This is just a spoiler-filled discussion. I've already done my spoiler-free review, which you guys can check out if you haven't seen the movie yet, but this one I'm just going to delve into everything, all the crazy plot points, and trust me, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. So, where do I begin? I'm going to start with something that I didn't mention in my initial review that I was going to bring up, but I just figured I'd just save all of it for here, and that is the third act of this movie, which of course includes Doomsday, which was spoiled for us in that trailer, which is a very dumb idea because this was clearly meant to be a third act reveal that, oh, so Doomsday's in here. And before that trailer came out, nobody knew Doomsday was in this movie at all. There was never like a rumor about it. It was just like, when he popped up in the trailer, you're just like, oh, Doomsday's here now. So it would have been an interesting reveal if they had just left it out of the trailer and been like, oh, whoa. I think it would have been better. It would have been better if they hadn't showed it. A lot better. And the look of Doomsday. Does he look as bad as he does in the trailer? Half the time, because his character evolves. He goes through different stages and he starts growing the bones out more. And when he's fully evolved towards the end of the fight, he looks pretty cool. He looks pretty good. But he looks even worse at the beginning of the fight. When he's first born, he doesn't have spikes at all. He's just completely spikeless. And he looks like just a really crappy, bad CGI creature, and he's jumping around the city and stuff, and I thought that looked bad. I don't get why they needed to do all the evolving stages. They should have started them out with basically the way he looked in the comics, and then maybe evolved him a bit more to make him go crazier. But I just did not like his first stage of him. It just looked very stupid and very bad. And no, Doomsday did not need to be in this movie, and I still don't think he needed to. This movie needed to be more Batman v Superman and less Dawn of Justice. And I didn't think Doomsday was necessary, though I will admit, once I got past the initial Doomsday does not need to be in this movie, I'm not going to lie, I was sitting in the theater and I just thought, I'm watching a movie where Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are fighting Doomsday. It's kind of cool. That's cool. That's actually happening. I've always grown up a DC fan. I was more of a DC person as a little kid. So seeing all this stuff brought to the screen finally is just cool and just brings out the kid in me because I grew up with this stuff a lot. I grew up with DC a lot more than Marvel because I grew up with the Burton and Schumacher Batman movies and the Christopher Reeve movies and the Bruce Timm animated universe. That was my early childhood right there, was those things. So seeing this come to life is really cool. And even when it comes to the comics, I know a lot about the Death of Superman storyline, which of course involves Doomsday, because my brother actually owns every issue from that storyline. He's big into that storyline. He really likes it. So I'm very familiar with that. So seeing these events play out, I thought it was just kind of fun. And just, there's a lot of moments like that in this movie, actually, where I was just like, that's cool. And then the one thing that actually made the Doomsday stuff sort of worthwhile is that they kill Superman. That's basically the one surprise in this whole movie. Every major plot point in this movie was shown in that one trailer that showed Doomsday. No real surprises are in the movie aside from Superman dying. And when that happened, I was like, oh, they're actually doing it? And then I'm like, no, they're gonna cheapen out and just have him have his eyes open when he's lying in Lois's arms, right? And then he didn't. And then we had his funeral, and I'm like, they're actually going to follow through on this. And for the most part, they did. Of course, the final shot of the movie, you see the dirt start to slowly rise, and it cuts the credits. But I feel like they followed through on it enough to where I'm happy. Because I was actually really nervous during the whole ending of this movie, because I'm like, please just keep him dead. That would be so awesome and so ballsy and so cool. And the ending of this movie just kept going. There's so many scenes in the ending of this movie, and I'm just like, no, okay, don't do it. And they pretty much didn't. There's a little hint at it with the dirt rising, but that's it. And I'm like, when the credits rolled, I'm like, oh, they did. Good job. And I'm really happy. I think one of the reasons I'm really happy that they did the whole Death of Superman thing at the end is because I always had this idea for a Superman movie when I was a kid. In that period between Superman Returns and Man of Steel, my idea for a Superman movie would be, have it be like an alien invasion movie. And then have the third act be a surprise and have Doomsday appear. Don't tell anybody, keep it a complete secret. Have Doomsday emerge from the ground, the alien invasion unearths him. And he fights Superman and kills him. and then that's how the movie ends, with Superman dying. That would have been just like a total what the fuck and just surprise for the audience, just an awesome, just out of nowhere ending. And if you think about it, this movie kind of did that. Despite, if it didn't show us Doomsday in that third trailer, it would basically be my idea of just Doomsday all of a sudden coming at the end and killing Superman. So I think, like, the little screenwriter in me was kind of like, hey, it's kind of what I had in mind when I was younger. So I think that's another reason why I like it. But that helped make the Doomsday thing feel less pointless, because when I first saw the Doomsday was going to be in this movie, I'm like, well, you just wasted the character who kills Superman. You just throw him as a third act villain in your movie. I'm pretty sure they're just going to kill him at the end and move on. But they did. I mean, they still kill him at the end, but they don't just move on. Superman actually dies. And then it makes it more interesting because it gives Batman more motivation to put together the Justice League. So I like that. Like, it actually added to the story and actually made the Doomsday stuff sort of worthwhile. Do we need it still? No. You know, Superman can still be alive for them to form the Justice League. You don't need that. But it made it a bit more worthwhile, and I really enjoyed that. And I thought that was really good. And speaking of Justice League, we get our blatant, in-your-face Justice League setup with... I was in shock when I saw this scene. When I saw the scene of Wonder Woman opening up the email and then clicking on everybody's file, I was just like, that's how you're doing it? Wow. That's just... bad. Like, and the music that plays. Same thing that happened when Bruce Wayne opened up the file and he finds the picture of Wonder Woman from 1918. That music is like that picture pops up and you just hear just like clearly like trailer music almost for the Justice League. And I was just like, geez, can you make it any more obvious? Then I thought the second time when Wonder Woman opened up the files and you see the close-up of that picture of her from 1918, I'm like, we get it. It's Wonder Woman in 1918 that's building up to the Wonder Woman movie. You don't need to show us that once and be like, whoa, what does that mean? And that's it. But they showed it to us twice in extreme close-up. And I was like, really? And then we get to the cameos from all the Justice League members. You see Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. Now, the Flash one is I guess, cool enough. The surveillance footage of him stopping the robbery at the convenience store. It's a cool enough idea. Again, I don't like the way it's placed in the movie, but I like that. That's a cool shot. The Aquaman one is super awkward. And just, there's a lot better way they could have done that. It's literally just like Aquaman slowly swimming in a view, just like awkwardly staring at the camera. And then speeding off. And it was just like, okay, that's cool. Though I am happy that that's the only thing we see of Aquaman. Because I know, like, everybody knew that Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman was going to be in this movie. But then they're like, oh yeah, Aquaman's going to be in there too. That was the only one. Like, Flash was never announced to actually really be in this movie. He was possibly going to make a cameo, but that was it. I remember Aquaman being actually announced as being in the movie. So I thought he was actually going to be included in the movie. In an actual, like, scene. An actual, like, story-driven scene, you know? And I was like, no, don't shoehorn in Aquaman. You're already shoehorning in Wonder Woman. But it wasn't. It was just a little cameo in a little video file. So that was okay, but it was terrible. And then the Cyborg one. That was actually really cool. I really liked that scene. That really made me excited for the Cyborg movie, which, to be honest, I don't really care too much about because it's just Cyborg. It's just a minor character. But it makes me excited for him. That scene was really cool, and I really liked it. Also, I hated how all the video files had the characters' logos on it. Like the Flash logo, Aquaman logo. Why is that there? Who had time to make that at LexCorp? Why? That just seemed so blatant. Like, when Bruce Wayne first pulls up the files and you see those logos, I literally went, really? Like, I remember just being like, seriously? Okay, that's not obvious or in your face. I just thought that was stupid. And now, let's get to the other Justice League build-up. Basically, the Nightmare sequence. Which I've actually praised in my review, and I still think is a really great sequence. The sequence being that good makes up for it being pointless. That scene is literally just Justice League build-up. It really has no need in this movie. And the scene, of course, is Batman in the desert. You see the Omega symbol, which of course is Darkseid, which will most likely be the villain in Justice League. That's what that's building to. And then you have all those flying creatures flying around and all that kind of stuff that is all really cool, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense because it's just there to tie into a future movie. And then right after that dream sequence, you have the Flash basically coming back in time, telling Batman that Lois Lane is the key to this all, and he was right about Superman, and then he just disappears. Now, my problem with that scene is that it's cool. I thought it was actually a cool concept, but I'm just not a big fan of scenes in movies that are just there to build to a sequel. Like, maybe if it's done at the end of the movie or something like that, or if that was like a post-credit scene where all of a sudden, like, Bruce Wayne's dreaming and then, Flash comes in. That would work that way. But when that happens in the middle of the film, and that scene is literally just there for the sequel, that has no bearing on anything that happens in the plot of this film. If you take out that scene, the movie's exactly the same. I don't know, I don't like that. That always kind of bugs me. So that scene kind of bugged me. It's almost like they wanted to do a post-credit scene, but they're like, let's be different from Marvel, so they put their post-credit scene in the middle of the film. So that whole nightmare sequence slash Flash coming back in time, interesting build-up for the next film, but just totally unnecessary in the grand scheme of things. So again, the nightmare sequence was just badass, so I'll give that a pass. I give that one a pass because it was so cool. One of the things I was really looking forward to with this film is the fact that Zack Snyder is a very visual director, and so I wanted to see a more visual Batman. Because there's so many cool ways to visually interpret Batman, and the Dark Knight trilogy kind of falls a little bit flat on visuals. It's more grounded and realistic, so it's not as out there. So I was really looking forward to a return to a more visual Batman, and we got that. Batman's introductory scene, where the cops are in that room and the camera just like pans over and Batman's like in the wall in the corner, was so sick. Like, I had the biggest smile on my face when I saw that. That was great. Then the scene at the end with Batman and Lex Luthor in the jail cell was awesome. You just have Batman just standing in the door as the red lights are flickering. Perfect. And then the scene in the warehouse where Batman is rescuing Martha Kent, which you see part of in that trailer. Well, that's longer in the actual movie, of course, and that scene is probably the best action sequence for Batman ever put to film. And it was so awesome, so brutal, very much like the Batman Arkham Knight, Arkham City video games, very similar in style to that. So that sequence was great. I loved it. And also, speaking of Arkham Knight and Arkham City, for a negative, the whole sequence with the Batmobile, I was not a fan of. That whole action sequence, just because I felt the CGI was very obvious. I don't know, I just felt whenever the car was driving around and flying, it felt very CGI, and it just felt like a cutscene. It felt like one of those cinematic trailers for Arkham Knight, where like it's that really high quality CGI that you don't really see in game, but you see it in that trailer. That's what that sequence felt like to me. It didn't really feel like it was really there, and I was not engaged in it. And then one of the big things to talk about, the fight between Batman and Superman. Yeah, it was a little too short. I feel it could have been longer. But aside from that, it was great. There's so many great moments in that movie. I like every time Batman weakened Superman with the kryptonite, and he would always get like the upper hand. The scene where he's punching him in the jaw, and all of a sudden the kryptonite wears off, so it's like choo choo choo, clink 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 clink. I thought that was awesome. I loved that moment, and I liked the small scale of it. The fact that it just took place in this old, rundown, abandoned like building, and instead of like in the middle of the city or anything huge. I like that. It made it more intimate and more just like a one-on-one fight scene, not trying to be a big spectacular sequence. The spectacle was seeing Batman and Superman fight. So I thought that scene was really handled. One of the things I liked actually was how Superman actually got Batman to stop by saying, "We have to save Martha," and then they had Batman stop because of course Batman's mom's name is Martha. And even though I've been a Batman and Superman fan since I was a child, I never made the connection that both their moms had the same first name. I don't know why. I never made the connection they both had the same name. So then when Batman just stops and goes, "Why do you say that name?" I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And the fact that would get Batman to stop, I thought that was cool. And I don't know, that was just something I never made the connection to. And I'm like, it's great that they actually utilized that in this movie. And speaking of Batman's parents, they do show his parents' death. And yeah, that's a scene we've seen 1,000 times over. And when they showed it in the trailer, everybody's like, oh yay, another Batman origin. But it was very well handled. Again, with Zack Snyder being a great visual director, with the parents' death scene being shown in the opening credits of the film, it was done very well and was very effective. I really like that. But the next thing I want to talk about is Lex Luthor. who I mentioned in my review I was not a fan of. I was really hoping for him to be like more serious at times. And that also took the tension away from some scenes. The scene where Superman confronts him on the rooftop on the landing platform, I should have been very intense. You know, with him revealing that like they have his mom and those like pictures, those Polaroids he showed of his mom just looked all beat up, just looked like brutal and just creepy. But all the tension was just taken away with his weird, over-the-top, eccentric performance. And I didn't like that. Also, I didn't like how the reason he's bald at the end is just because they shaved his head in prison. They just felt like a cheap way to be like, oh, like we need to make Lex Luthor bald. Like, it would have been more interesting if they actually did the Superman the movie reveal where he just takes off the wig and reveals that the whole time it was a wig. You know? That would have worked a lot better. It just felt cheap. It felt like the writers were like, oh shoot, we need to have Lex Luthor bald in the end. Well, he's in prison. They can shave his head. It's like, oh, okay. I get it, because Lex Luthor he has to be bald. I don't know. That's a minor problem. That's not really a big deal. That's not really anything I'm holding against the movie. Just a really small gripe I have. But yeah, Lex Luthor just did not work. And a lot of his plot line needed to be kind of fleshed out more. Like, why did he hate Superman so much and, like, Kryptonians and stuff like that? Well, how did he get those files on Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg? And how was he able to create Doomsday? By taking Zod's body into the fallen Kryptonian ship and then, like, cutting his hand and combining his blood with Zod? I don't know. The Daily Planet stuff was fun, including Perry White getting the best line in the entire movie, where Clark is trying to convince him to run his Batman story, and Perry White's just like, crime wave in Gotham. What else is news? Water. Wet. That line is the best. That's to me the best line in the entire movie. That and when Batman's in the Batplane and Doomsday comes down, he just goes, oh shit. That moment was good too. And speaking of Man of Steel connections, that scene with Jonathan Kent and Superman, and when he's in like the mountains and stuff, that was unnecessary. Especially with this movie having so much stuff going on, I really didn't see the point in it, aside from giving Kevin Costner a cameo. I think I mentioned that in my review, that there's stuff that should have been trimmed, and that was one of the things I think could have just been cut out. It didn't really seem necessary. And I mentioned this in my other review, but again, Lois Lane was just there, and they were trying so hard to give her stuff to do. Her whole subplot with her trying to find who manufactured that bullet, I don't know, it just didn't seem necessary. Oh, it's revealed that LexCorp manufactured it. What? Lex Luthor's the bad guy? Like, I don't know, like, I didn't feel like we needed that. And then her at the end, where she has the kryptonite spear and throws it in the water, and then realizes, oh wait, we need it. So she goes in the water to get it, and then she gets trapped, and Superman has to save her. Like, it just seemed redundant. Like, we did not need her in the third act of this movie, really. And, I don't know. I get it, it's Lois Lane, she's an important Superman character, but when your movie, especially the ending of your movie, has Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and eventually Doomsday in it, and there's Lex Luthor, you don't need to put in Lois Lane. Honestly, you can just have her sit that out. There's enough characters in the ending of this movie where you can just have Lois Lane sit it out. Sit out the climax. It's okay. It's okay. He doesn't have to be involved in the climax of every Superman movie. So that's Batman vs. Superman. Sorry about this video being a little scattered and all over the place. I just wanted to just discuss whatever came to my mind and just discuss whatever I can. So I was going up and down from being positive to negative to back to positive again, just all over the place. But I got the major points that I wanted to discuss in this video. And there's probably a bunch of other stuff that I can talk about for the movie that I'm just forgetting about right now. But I got the main things down that I wanted to discuss. And yeah, again, my opinion on this movie is that I still really enjoy it. Despite talking about a lot of negatives, I still really enjoy it. I think it was very entertaining, a lot of great scenes. Still a worthwhile movie to check out, but is very heavily flawed with its very messy storyline that has too many plot points going on and a very badly handled setup to the Justice League movie. Very obvious and in your face. So again, mixed bag, but either way, that's about all I got to say for now, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.